Year 9 and welcome to today's lesson on Stomata. So I want you to write down the date and the title and the LO, and then I want you to try the starter task, please. So pause the video here and I'll continue in 5 seconds. Okay, so sunflowers are so pretty, they're smart too. Plants can make their own food using photosynthesis. Their leaves are adapted to help with this, but I'm not sure how. So what you needed to do was reply to Dave's tweet and use the hashtag keywords for help if you need them. So you should have talked about how on the underside of the leaves there are stomata that open and close to let oxygen out and carbon dioxide in. So carbon dioxide is a reactant that's needed in photosynthesis, so that needs to be able to get into the leaf through the stomata, and the oxygen is produced and that needs to be able to get out of the leaf through the stomata. You should have also mentioned chlorophyll, which is the green pigment contained within chloroplast, which is the site of photosynthesis, and there are lots of them in the palisade mesophyll layer of the leaf. And the epidermis as well, upper and lower epidermis, they help because they're thin and it lets sunlight in towards the mesophyll layer. The spongy mesophyll as well has got lots of air pockets and air spaces so that the oxygen can easily diffuse out of the leaf and the carbon dioxide can easily diffuse in. So you should have got those sort of things written down. Okay, stomata. So carbon dioxide is needed for photosynthesis and oxygen is produced during it. These gases need to enter or leave the leaf somehow. Plants have adapted to have small openings on the underside of leaves to allow this gas exchange to happen. So these are the guard cells. There are 2 guard cells on the side of stomata. So stomata is the opening, and then there's a guard cell on the left and a guard cell on the right that opens and closes the hole. So the guard cells are on the outside, the stomata is the name of the hole itself. Stomata is the plural, stoma is the singular, but if you get them confused, it doesn't matter. If you write stoma or stomata, you'll get the answer correct. It will be marked correct. Don't worry about that. Okay, so how they actually work. So an example. This is the inside of our leaf here, and this is an example where air has a lower concentration of carbon dioxide in the leaf. Okay, so there is a low concentration of carbon dioxide in the leaf. Outside the leaf, so in the air outside in the atmosphere, there is a higher concentration of carbon dioxide on the outside than on the inside. Okay, so I'll just use random numbers here. So say there are one carbon dioxide molecule inside the leaf. Obviously there would be a lot more, but this is just an example sake. And then on the outside there are 3. Okay, so again, this is just an example. Obviously we'll be working with a lot more carbon dioxide in real life. But you can see on the outside of the leaf there are 3 molecules of carbon dioxide. On the inside there is 1. Now the world wants everything to be balanced molecule-wise. So when there is less carbon dioxide in the leaf compared to the outside, then the carbon dioxide molecules move into the leaf. Okay, and as these carbon dioxide molecules are constantly being used up during photosynthesis, there will always be a lower concentration in the leaf than outside the leaf. So carbon dioxide constantly moves in through the stomata. Okay, another example, so the air inside the leaf has a higher concentration of oxygen. So remember, oxygen is a product that is released from the photosynthesis reaction. And then on the outside, there's a lower concentration of oxygen compared to the inside. So again, I'll give an example. There are rather 3 molecules of oxygen inside the leaf. and then outside we have 1 molecule of oxygen. Okay, so there is more oxygen inside the leaf because that is what is being produced by photosynthesis. It's constantly making it while the sun's out. So we've got lots of oxygen that the leaf doesn't need, and then that moves out of the stomata to the atmosphere. Okay, so moves out into the atmosphere, and this is constantly happening because as carbon dioxide is constantly being used up and converted into oxygen in the photosynthesis reaction, loads of oxygen is going to build up in the leaf. The leaf doesn't need all that oxygen, so the oxygen goes out and the carbon dioxide goes in, and it's a constant circle. So I want you to make some notes on that, please. Right, I want you to draw the diagram as best as you can and add the labels, please. So the exchange of gases is driven by the concentration of gases and whether the stomata are open or closed. Guard cells allow the stomata to open and close depending on the weather conditions and the time of day, which we'll go through on the next slide. For now, I just want you to draw and label the diagram, please. So pause the video here and I'll continue in 5 seconds. Okay, the role of stomata. So the stomata control gas exchange in the leaf. Each stoma can be open or closed depending on how turgid its guard cells are. So if a cell has lots of water, that water pushes up against the cell walls and it makes the cell turgid. So it's really solid and kind of full. So in the light, the guard cells absorb water by osmosis, become turgid, and the stoma opens. In the dark, the guard cells lose water, become flaccid, and the stoma closes. Okay, so it's all about how much water there is. If it's got lots of water, then it opens. If it's not got a lot of water, then it will close. Some plants can close the stomata when it's windy or very hot because this stops water molecules being lost from the plant unnecessarily. So if it's really hot and really windy, there will be more water lost. And as we can see above, if the guard cells lose water, then the stoma will close and photosynthesis won't be able to happen. Okay, so I want you to try the 3 questions at the bottom. Pause the video here and I'll go through the answers in 5 seconds. Number 1, state 3 conditions that may cause a plant to shut its stoma. So if it is very windy, if it is very hot, and if it is nighttime. Number 2, explain how the guard cells control the opening of the stoma. So in the light, they absorb water and they become turgid and they open. In the dark, they lose water, they become flaccid and they close. Number 3, suggest types of plants that may have sophisticated adaptations allowing for greater control over the opening of stomata. So the type of plants you could have suggested are ones that live in really extreme weather conditions, so like cacti and things like that. So types of plants that would really need a lot of control over how much water is lost and things like that. So plants that live in the desert or plants that live in the snow sort of thing. So just any kind of exotic kind of plant. Okay, challenge questions. I want you to try these, please. Pause the video here and I'll continue in 5 seconds. Okay, number 1, explain how oxygen produced during photosynthesis passes out of the leaf. So oxygen is produced by photosynthesis. It can then diffuse through the air spaces in the spongy mesophyll layer and it goes out through the stomata. So in the daytime, when the stomata are open and photosynthesis is taking place, oxygen is produced and it can go out through the stomata. Number 2, how are leaves adapted for maximum diffusion? Explain why this is important. So the way that leaves are adapted for maximum diffusion is that they have lots and lots of air spaces and they have the stomata. So the carbon dioxide and the oxygen can move as freely as they want. So it's not restricted by much. There are literally open spaces in the leaf where they can move easily to get to the chloroplasts or away from the chloroplasts. Number 3, how does external temperature affect the rate of diffusion from a leaf? So if it's really hot outside, the rate of diffusion will increase. If it's really cold, the rate of diffusion will decrease. Okay, so that's everything for today. I hope you all have a wonderful day.